No, I need you to be like personable. Say, do one of these, you know, do something. Oh my God. All right, fine. You guys know my favorite is to basically start y'all off with what I use. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing you guys all of the products I used before I actually get into the hair. Like, look at those locks. Look at that density. Look at those natural markers. Like, it is beautiful. And there is nothing dreadful about locks, so please don't say dreadlocks. Just say locks. You could Google it. It's a thing. Okay, you guys, so normally I mix them to where to a specific thickness depending on how thick the hair is. So being that his locks are actually quite thick, I decided to make the paste just as thick. I felt like if I was going to do like somebody with finer hair, it would make more sense to make it not as thick, but because his hair is thick and we're trying to make sure we penetrate that entire lock, you know, we need it to be a bit thicker. So I'm kind of going towards the consistency of like toothpaste. I don't want it to be runny. I want it to be thick, and I want it also to be able to be spreadable, if that makes sense. So I like to start with 1 scoop and then some developer, and basically just like mix that until I get the consistency that I want. And the way I gauge whether or not the product is thick enough is by the time I'm ready to like pull out my brush, if there's basically no fallout and it's just sticking to the brush, then I know that it's thick enough for me. I'm also very wary about how much product I'm using because my bowl is on the smaller side, so I don't want to let it overflow, so I rather just make enough to where I can easily pick up product and apply it to the hair, but still have enough space to like have the brush in the bowl still, you know what I mean? So be mindful of that as well. You always want to start sectioning off the hair and then applying Vaseline near the hair line, so that you're able to basically protect the skin from that bleach. So, because his locks are thicker and because it's locks in general, which means that it's a lot more hair and it's kind of on top of each other, coiled up, you kind of have to really work that bleach in to make sure it's an even application. If you don't take your time to work the bleach in, you will have a lot of spots, and I've done this before, so I've really messed up and had really dark spots everywhere. So going into doing his hair, I was able to understand more that you kind of need to really sit there and massage the locks in and make sure you twist it and turn them in your hand, and like it takes a while to make sure everything's penetrated. And I think this is a process that you really, really need the brush for. Like normally I like to dye my natural hair with my hands, but with locks, I think that the brush is needed so that you can actually really like comb through the color, like brush through the color. So if you want an even application, make sure you're using the brush and make sure you're taking your time to really spread the product over, because you want to be able to evenly apply that so that you don't have any blotches of black. Another good tip is that when you are finished with the even application of the locks, you should cover it with foil. because it not only traps the heat, allowing the lightener to lift more effectively, but it also just keeps the lightener from getting on the surrounding hair. So you gotta make sure you got that foil on deck, okay? And because I guess your roots is warmed up by your body temperature, so they like, and they're also the freshest parts of your hair. You don't want to essentially do your roots first. You always want to do like the middle of the hair shaft and towards the ends, and then you hit the roots last. Picture and have an idea of how much locks and how dense the locks are. Because I kind of forgot his hair grew so fast. I didn't realize that his hair was so long. So I basically underestimated how much product I would need. And I actually like to buy more than I think I need. And I thought I literally had more than I thought I need. So try to like gauge how much locks the person has and how thick the locks are. And then you can basically go from there, like overbuy if you have to. And I just knew that this wasn't going to be a day process for me also. So I kind of just made sure that I just wanted to evenly coat the locks first. I didn't want it to like bleach the whole head and then you just have a whole bunch of dark black natural spots left. Like that would have been way uglier than having dark roots into blonde locks. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to make sure he was presentable in the street. Which is why I focus only on the shafts of the hair, not so much the roots. For the first go, at least. This is like going to be a 2-part series. I think I can get it done in 2 parts. Also, another thing to note is I do it row by row and I take about 5 locks each section. But if that seems excessive for you, feel free to do 3 locks. Feel free to do 2. Like, it's all okay because you need to make sure that you're able to really pay attention to each lock. So I'm taking 5 at a time because I know that's something I can handle. Go back into each of those sections that you do cover with foil and make sure that everything is actually evenly coated. And this is why you have to take your time. Another great tip. Make sure you're doing everything row by row and you're doing each side and at the same time, just so you give it enough time to process at the same rate. Because I personally, if I'm gonna do the left side, if I'm doing like the middle of the left side, I'm doing the middle of the right side next. Like I want to make sure each side is basically, each row is getting processed at the same rate. And it just helps me know that it will all low-key look exactly the same versus one side looking a little bit darker than the other side because it didn't have time to process the same amount of time, if that makes sense. And I always leave the front of my hair for last. I always like to start at the back, then the middle, then the front, just because it makes more sense to me. I would never want to process the front first. I just want to get everything evenly coated and make sure that the whole head gets as much attention. So even though it's the front, yeah, I like to tackle that last. I just do. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but make sure you have like more than one amount of gloves. Make sure you have more than one pair of gloves. Like get you a box of gloves, because between bathroom breaks and food breaks and like life breaks and like any breaks, you just need to have a lot of gloves. Like you don't want to keep taking off that glove and then using that same pair of glove. Like you want to make sure that if you end up like stabbing through, or if it's just too much product on the glove, you want to make sure you have many amounts of gloves. Honestly, just have a couple. Okay, so after I take away all of the foil, well, after I go into each section and do the foil sections over, then I take all of the foil off and I start to actually apply the rest of the bleach that I have left onto random spots in his hair. And then I'm going to put the foil back on and then cover it with a plastic bag. And this way I'll just allow it to process again for another 20 minutes. And then I'm gonna wash it out and we gonna be good to go. And basically what I'm gonna do is wash it out, apply the purple shampoo / conditioner, and then deep condition it as well. Yes. I normally cut out a lot of this process, but I feel like I should show you guys like a little bit of every single step, just so y'all can be put on to game. You know, I don't want y'all to think this is the quick one and done thing. It's like you're consistently having to go back into each section and retouch and look at it and flip the locks around to like make sure you brush through, like, and there's going to be certain parts that's stubborn, but for the most part it kind of helps with the application a lot. So as you can see, I'm going back into the parts of his hair and just like doing another brush through with the developers, and then I'm going to cover it back up with the foil. And this is just again to just do a little touch up here and there, and make sure that all of his hair is saturated. And when you lock that foil back in, it kind of gives him more time for that heat to develop the hair. And then it's washout time. But before the washout, we just left it on for another like 20 minutes. Look at me.
Kind of blinded right now too because of this shit.
So it's right before I wash out the rest of the product. So this is just with the bleach, and this is me now just rinsing out all of that bleach with my bare hands. You can use gloves, but for some reason I'm just using my bare hand because I'm always using my bare hands to wash hair. I'm sorry, I just can't use gloves. I'm sorry. So once I rinse out all of that bleach, I'm gonna go in with this purple shampoo / conditioner. And when I say purple shampoo / conditioner, I have purple shampoo and I also have conditioner. But I'm also gonna mix that with actual like conditioner that I would use for 4B 4C hair, just because it makes more sense. And you see how I'm like throwing the water in there to lather? It kind of helps to spread the product out because I didn't want his hair to turn purple. So I wanted to make sure I was like buffing it out, like how they say on the line. You're supposed to like wash it out. You're supposed to like scrub it in and then to where it turns white, because that's where it's gonna really like penetrate the hair. So yep. And because my client's hair is so thick and he's so tall, I had to keep swapping sides to make sure I got every lock. I didn't want to leave any locks behind. And I really had to take my time to see, just to make sure everything was penetrated equally. But certain parts of his hair, like any parts of your hair, is going to be a little bit more stubborn than others. So sometimes even if you do apply evenly, some parts just come out a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, but with time and with a couple more jobs, it should all be even, because you know I'm not a professional. I just picked it up on my own and was doing my own hair, and then I started doing other people's hair. So yeah, you know, I just had to keep it real with y'all. And just want to note that it's very important for you to wear an old t-shirt and use an old towel, because I just want to reiterate that it's very important, because your product is gonna go on these things, and it will destroy the shirts, guys. It's gonna alter the color. It's going to stain. So you need to have old items to wear when you dye your hair, and you need to have an old towel to wash and be a barrier for while it's processing. So look at that shirt. Look at his shirt. That says enough. The proof is in the pudding. OD. I'm zooming in on that ass. Flip it. Hey. Hello. You know, you just gonna flip it now. Look at the camera. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate you. Tell me what you think. Give me some tips in the comments. I love you guys. Thank you again.